Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, October 27th, 2021. Whew, we are almost at the end of the month. It's almost Halloween. Man, this month is just flying by with all like the marathon stuff that happened to lots of people because there was Chicago and there was Boston over that same weekend. I just feel like the beginning of the month flew by and then the middle of the month flew by, and all of a sudden it's pretty much November and it's almost time for New York. So, man, this month is just cruising along. We are on a Wednesday, so it's the middle of the week. And yeah, feeling pretty good about it. I had a tough workout today and I'm pretty exhausted. Just got out of the shower now. Had a little bit of a later start to the day. Today's video had some rendering problems, so it's finished rendering. I'll upload it after the live stream today, but I'm still just kind of catching up. It's going to be one of those days. So hopefully you guys are doing better. If you're out there listening in podcast land, listening to the audio only version, hopefully you're having a really great run out there today. It was a little bit windy for me, but just one of those beautiful fall weather days where it's just great to run and you feel like you can just run forever. Hopefully you're having that too. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, welcome. Hopefully you're sitting back at a relaxing part in your day and you got a recovery beverage. I've got some afternoon coffee, which definitely feels like something I need. I'm just really tired. It was a tough workout today. So I am very tired and feeling like one of those runs where afterwards you feel like I want to go take a nap. But all right, now let's see who's here. We got Frank in the chat says, how many weeks before the marathon should you hit peak weekly mileage or longest run or hardest workouts? All the same week, different week. Does it change if you have a tune-up race? I think people have different kind of ideas for tune-up races. So I think from what I've been seeing from a lot of what the pros are doing, not to say that we should do everything like pros do, but like I think what a lot of the pros are doing is they'll have a shorter race, like less, a half marathon or less, and a lot of times less. I don't know if that's by choice or just by that's what's like available on the calendar. And they'll do it like 8 weeks out. It seems like really, really far out with a lot of time to still kind of like retool and using that race as kind of like mental hardening, just as much as it is like a physical hardening in terms of getting ready for the race. But what I like to do is, what's been working for me, I've been tinkering around. You guys know I like to tinker, but I've been putting that peak week at 3 weeks out with kind of like my last kind of race or really long marathon pace effort being either that 3 or 2 weeks out. So like if I like what I did for Chicago this year was 3 weeks out was my highest mileage week. And then which had also had some hard workouts in it too. And then for like that, like going from week 3 to week 2, so after the end of week 2, I still had 14 days to recover. That was when the Chicago Half Marathon was, and that was like 13 miles at marathon effort. I actually ended up running it a little bit harder than that, and I think that ended up being okay for me. But that mileage on that week was a little bit less than the week prior. So I would say like overall intensity was probably kind of like if you do like running stress score on Strava, on Stride. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I would imagine that they were pretty similar those 2 weeks, even though mileage was less on that following week, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like what has been, I think working for me. And then I think I saw Martha saying, she kept some speed intervals within her remaining runs just to keep the legs reminded of quick turnover. I liked doing that throughout my taper this time, which was new for me because normally before I've been like, no hard workouts at all, maybe some strides, but just everything really easy. Basically, I was hitting the brakes once I got to the taper. And that I think didn't work well for me because then when it came time to do some more hard work on race day, my buddy was like, "Oh, I remember these. I don't like this. I don't know if I really want to engage today." And so like my mind would just constantly be fighting me. So I really do like the idea of having like some mini workouts still in the taper too. PG says, hi, Kofuzi, how's it going? Went for a run at 4:30 a.m. and it felt so good. It's my favorite time to run early in the morning. You know what, Pete? I'm with you. But we're reaching that time of year where 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning is pretty dark no matter what time of year you're in. But right now, 4:30 in the morning is really, really dark. And I just do not like running in the dark. I don't mind running like for like a first half of the run being pitch black and then like first light maybe picks up like at the turnaround point. But like if it's going to be dark by the time I get back, and it's dark when I started, then I'm not as motivated. But I'm glad that you found a really great time to run out there. All right, Trevor has a really great question. It reminds me today that I got to go do this. He says, has anyone applied to Chicago with a time qualifier? He says his brother used Legacy and has already been accepted, but still waiting on his application to be accepted. I think it started yesterday, right? The 26th was the first day, and I totally forgot about that. So I think I have a good for age time, so I'm gonna apply for that. And last week you could start doing the lottery, non-guaranteed entry, and then this week I thought you could start doing time-based entries. And I think, it's really fast though. I think Legacy, like if you've done it 5 times, like the Legacy runners also got to apply this week. But that's really fast. That happened right away. So, interesting. But I will have to go check that out. And as a reminder, if you want to try to get into the lottery for Chicago, put your name in now before you forget. All right, we got Vincent Viniaris here. Says, hey, Co and friends. Good to see you again, Vincent. Fit Nut Life is here. Hello, everyone, he says. All right. Avalon Journey says, what a show that race must have been. You're talking about the trail race from the weekend. How do they allow 2 races on the same trails on the same day? Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise to me. I don't think I've ever encountered that before, where there was like another race on the same trails on the same day. But I don't know if that's something that I'm sure that the other organization was also not super excited about the fact that there was a trail race on the same course on the same day. So, I don't know if it just hasn't come up before ever with that local park district. I don't know if it's Cook County Forest Preserve. It's not Chicago Park District out there. I think it's Cook County Forest Preserve out there. I think it's still Cook County. I'm pretty sure it's still Cook County. But maybe they just never dealt with that before, or maybe they're just like, it's a public space, and we're going to allow different races on the same day. So I don't know. Maybe it's something that they have to ask for when you're applying for the permits. It was a surprise. It was a surprise to everybody. David probably says, good afternoon, co-fam. Hope everyone's good. Good to see you, David. All right. Ijori Pierre says, sup. Or he's saying stand-up paddleboard. And I say that because his little avatar picture is of a stand-up paddleboard. That's what it looks like. All right, we saw something from... Sorry, I'm a little bit behind you guys. Gino DG says, hi, Kofuzi fam. Finally made it to one of these. A long-time viewer, listener from Podcast Land. Awesome. So cool. Welcome to the video side. Says, happy running from Toronto. So cool. Excited that it seems like some of the borders are opening up again in the U.S., so very excited for that. I've been telling you guys over like the last year and a half that my wife and I really want to plan a Toronto trip at some point, but it's going to require kids getting vaccinated. Not that we'd take the kids. I think I'd want to do that one without the kids. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's something we could do soon. But if we're going to leave the kids somewhere, we would need to be vaccinated probably before we do that. But hopefully that's something we can plan. I'm trying to start thinking about kind of our holiday plans. Because I'm like, all right, I think we're getting real close to kids' vaccines. Then we'll be able to travel out of the state again without having to worry about quarantine requirements when we return. So we're like, all right, how much school am I going to make the kids not make? Or I'm going to let the kids miss because we need to go on a family vacation. That's what we've been thinking about lately. Ray Solar's Happy Joggers here says, hey, Co, just checking in. Good to see you again, Ray. And Brett says he's got coffee and Gatorade. Like double fisting it, like just like once, like one and then the other. There you go. Maybe that's what I need today. Oh man, that's not a bad idea. I think the flavors might be a little bit weird, but yeah, I think you're on. I think you're onto something, Brett. IPK says, anyone have recommendations for arm sleeves for warmth? Thanks in advance. I feel like all the arm sleeves I've ever worn do more cooling than they do warming. I wore arm sleeves for the Houston Marathon because it was kind of a chilly day, but I definitely made a bad judgment there. I probably shouldn't have worn arm sleeves that day. But all the ones that I have are real thin, so like none of them are really made for warmth. I feel like, I am more of a gloves and short sleeve kind of guy for if I'm like racing. I'm not sure I like I love the look of arm sleeves, but I just don't think I don't think they work for me. I'm not sure. Also, the thing is, I also like calf sleeves a lot. So like, if I run with calf sleeves and arm sleeves, and I got like shorts and like a t-shirt, then it just looks like it just looks weird, like I'm covered head to toe, like in a weird spandex suit of some sort. So I gotta. I'm like, I gotta draw the line somewhere. For me, I think it's arm sleeves, but I think it looks. I think they look great. But I don't know if any of them really are designed. I mean, some say that they keep you warmer, but I feel like they're more valuable for evaporative cooling and for sun protection. That's the other thing I like about them. All right, CV76 says, yo, what's going on? Good to see you again, Stevie. And Martha says, just ordered her first recovery beverage, scratch chocolate. It's supposed to be delicious. Usually just make a smoothie, drink kefir or coconut water. I do like the scratch chocolate. That was a good one. I remember that one. I was just thinking about it the other day. I'm trying to think about why I was thinking about it, but yeah. Runner Will's here. What's going on, Will? Good to see you again. And Daniel M says, gonna run around Ladybird late after work again. Nice, going for a run around Austin. I gotta imagine that this time of year is probably really great for running in Austin after like the long hot summer. Like, I mean, I guess like from now all winter long is great for Austin running weather, isn't it? That's what I would think. Zeth Paterka says, hello from Seattle. Any thoughts on training through a cold? I'm pretty deep into CIM training and don't want to lose too much fitness. Yeah, I would say try to kick the cold fast, right? I think that the worst situation would be that the cold lingers, like something that might have taken like 2 or 3 days to kick, lingers on for like a week or, hopefully not like 2 weeks. That's typically what happens to me because I always rush it. And then, I don't take care of myself and I don't let myself rest. And so then like, it used to be before I really started running all year long, I would get colds in the wintertime and I'd basically just go from like cold to cold to cold, like all winter long. And it was pretty miserable. Since I started running all year round, I think my immune system is kind of like just in a more like vigilant state. I feel when I get sick, it's usually like a day or two, but I try to take those days off because I've tried running with a cold before and it just stinks. And I feel like, your body feels stress either way, whether it's stress from work, stress from personal life, stress from a cold, stress from a workout, your body's feeling it. So like you got to let your body like focus on one thing at a time, I think. That's like my main recommendation. Cuz if it is just a small cold, not anything that's bad for you, that's nothing too terrible, like a regular, rhinovirus kind of thing, then like in a day or two, you'll be in good shape and you haven't lost that much, right? If it's a real bad cold and it takes you more than a day or two, maybe it takes you a week to really recover, like 4 or 5 days off, like no running. Then if you had tried to run through it, that's one of those things that you would have probably still been sick from now till CIM. So like I think that like running through the cold always kind of makes you extend the duration of the cold because of that strain on your body. Now at a certain point, you want to test it. You'll be like, all right, maybe I'm on like on the end of this cold and maybe a run would be good for me. Kind of flush all the systems, really get the blood flowing, kind of get all the mucus and the gunky stuff flushed out. I believe in that towards the end. But like, at the beginning of that cold, I would say, take it easy, shut things down a little bit and try to minimize the disruption rather than minimizing the change to your training plan. I would say don't worry about changing the training plan. You got to get healthy first. Sign on down Ramasetti. Good to see you again. Says, hi, Kofuzi. When can we expect for review the Adios Pro 2 and make Adios Pro 2 versus Metaspeed Sky? Have I not made that video? I got to make that video. Well, I mean, I'm almost done with the Metaspeed Sky. I'm at like 96 miles on that one. And the Adios Pro 2, I've got, I think, 30 miles on it. So, I mean, there might be more videos. I don't really do full review videos. I do like, long-term review videos. So that one won't come until after CIM because I'm kind of saving that Adios Pro 2 for CIM. So once we hit like November, which is like, I guess next week, I'll start inserting that into the rotation a little bit more. I can do some head-to-head videos about it, see what's left, because I think I need to do RC Elite 2 versus the Adios Pro 2. I thought I did the Metaspeed Sky versus Adios Pro 2. But that might not come until after CIM as well, because then I'll have a race Chicago for the Metaspeed Sky, and then a race of CIM for the Adios Pro 2. So that might come a little bit later. But I would say that, to compare those two, I think they're both really great. I feel like, they're my two favorite carbon plated shoes for the year. And I think that the Adios Pro 2 is a little bit bouncier, and kind of like the response time of it is a little bit squishier. So it's not quite as like fast. I feel like the Metaspeed Sky, it's a little bit faster. Because that foam, I feel like, is just super springy. Like as soon as you compress it, it springs back real fast. So I like both of them. I feel like there's a little bit more like carboniness. There's a little bit more bounciness, springiness with the Adios Pro 2, which I don't know, maybe it makes it better for the marathon, but I think they're both really great marathon shoes. One way that I can kind of look at them is like, the Adios Pro 2 is a little bit closer to the Alpha Fly, and the Metaspeed Sky is a little bit closer to the Next Percent, and I'll use those as references because I think a lot of people are familiar with those two shoes. But I don't really think that the Adios Pro 2 is that much like the Alpha Fly, but that's kind of like one way that you kind of look at them in terms of like how do you differentiate or decide which one is better for you. I also feel like the Metaspeed Sky is a little bit shorter of a shoe stack height wise than the Adios Pro 2. I don't know what the actual numbers are, I don't remember, but I feel like it's a little bit shorter and lower to the ground. So that could be also something that might help you decide between those two shoes. All right. Iobert says, "Hi Mike, getting back into running thanks to you. Awesome. What's your favorite half marathon in Chicago?" Well, I would have to say the Chicago half marathon, the one that gives the giant medals. I think those are really fun. But I think, and it's just because it's a really big race. It usually comes at a fun time of year. The weather is a little bit hot usually, but you're starting to see some of the gains from all those like really crazy summer workouts. So that's usually a pretty fun one. But I'm also not that experienced with a lot of the Chicago half marathons. I've done rock and roll once. I think I'll probably never do it again because it's in July. It's a terrible time to run a half marathon in Chicago or to race one. And there's some in the spring that I've never done, but I think I'd like to do. So, I think right now it's a Chicago half marathon, but I'm hoping to experience a lot of other ones in the near future. Old Achy Runner says, "Hey, I did 9 miles in the rain yesterday and realized how bad my long sleeve running shirt is in the rain. Do you have any recommendations for a warm, long sleeve running shirt?" So some of the ones, like, I don't know if Janji still makes it, but that's like my favorite one. Janji makes like a hooded, a long sleeve shirt that like the outer shell, it's not quite like a raincoat, but it's not like a technical material like polyester, and it's not cotton. It's something that's kind of like a little bit water resistant, and that's one of my favorite ones. It has like a zipper that's kind of like off center a little bit. So that's one of my favorite ones. So those are the things that I kind of look at. But the other way that I approach for rain running is, use your regular long sleeve shirts and then look for thinner rain layers to put on top of it. So that's the other way that I would recommend, is looking at it that way. So that way it's like, if just by having a longer, warmer long sleeve shirt doesn't necessarily always make it better for rainy weather, right? So I think that rain is one of those things where, I'll run in pretty much anything, but if there's rain in the forecast, I'm like, oh, I don't know, I got to think about this. What kind of gear am I going to wear? Everything else, I'm like, I'll figure it out. But rain always kind of worries me. And so I like to have kind of special stuff for that. Gore makes great stuff because it's waterproof. I have a rabbit jacket, which is pretty good. I feel like water gets through it pretty easily, but I feel like a lot of the stuff, water's going to get in there eventually if you're out there long enough in the rain, or if it's raining hard enough. But I think every brand makes a pretty decent one from what I could tell. Like Brooks has good ones. Brooks clearly has good ones. Des Linden won the Boston Marathon, and that jacket's amazing. Tracksmith has great stuff. It's a little pricey, as Tracksmith stuff tends to be. Gore also a little bit on the expensive side. Kraft is another brand that I like. I was just thinking about that this morning. I gotta hurry up and try to order some stuff from Kraft for the fall and winter because they tend to sell out. So those are some places that I would look. All right. All right. I'm real far behind you guys because I've been rambling. So let me try and catch up. Martha says, Mike, that was fun yesterday with Steven, a serious runner. Wish you could plan a collab shakeout with him in Sacramento. Yeah, I didn't want to put him on the spot and be like, hey, let's do one. And I'm not sure if he's interested in that at all either, but I'll try to reach out. There's going to be a lot of people there this year. Matt Chinham's going to be there. I'll be there. Serious Runner is going to be out there. I'm not sure who else. I'm trying to get Kevin Lara, the photographer. He came to Chicago and ran just this last time. I met him out at Western States. I'm trying to get him to come up and do something together too. So like, hopefully we'll have some fun stuff. I'm trying not to get overboard with it because, I want to like be able to, get in a good mental space and perform well. But I'm also like, how often am I in California? So I got to try and take advantage of it and see and meet people and see people and, do all that other fun stuff, so. So I'm going to try to start thinking about some planning. I got to plan New York stuff first. I'm starting to get some stuff together for a shakeout run. I'm starting to plan some other events. I'm trying to figure out what Trackton Smith is doing. I think they're doing stuff. I think I have an idea of what Hoka's doing. So like I'm going to do a similar thing that I did for Chicago. Like, here's the race weekend. Here's where I'll be in case people want to hang out. But yeah, so I got to figure that out first because that's like, right around the corner next week, basically. And then I'll start focusing down on Austin and Sacramento at the same time. So hopefully we'll have some fun stuff to do. That running guy, Chris, is going to do Saturday's Halloween Park Run as a sub-20 werewolf. That's awesome. That's awesome. It'd be somehow great. I don't know how you would pull this off, but like if you started out as like a human and then by the end you like really picked to the pace and turned into a werewolf, that'd be amazing. But that's cool. I mean, I love running in costumes. I think it's a lot of fun. All right. Mika Kataya says, evening all, no running for a couple days, just work. Oh, that's a bummer. So hopefully you'll get back into it soon. All right, Edgar Guerrero says, I recently bought the Saucony Endorphin Pro, planning on using it for a half marathon race in December. How many miles of training should I run before the race to break in the shoes? I would at least do one workout in it. So like if you got like a threshold workout, I think that'd be a really great way to test it out because you're going to be going a little bit faster than half marathon pace for that threshold workout. So that would be a really great one. Or if you've got any 5K time trials coming up as part of your training plan, or a 10K that's coming up, like that I think would be a great way to do it. And I think that's probably enough. That'll be enough to let you know like what the shoe is going to feel like for you and whether or not it's going to give you any blisters or hot spots or just any of that other stuff that you just want to make sure that it's not going to bother you. Other than that, I don't think the shoe really needs any break-in out of the box. It's pretty great. So, yeah, I mean, if you like really it's more along the lines of how much can you run in it without, it affecting the performance. And, last year's Endorphin Pro, I got to 100 miles in it and I just felt like it still felt like a brand new shoe. So I really wouldn't worry about running in it too much, or really worrying it too little. Just make sure it's not going to give you any problems. I don't anticipate that it will. For most people, it doesn't. But, everyone's foot is a little bit different. So I would just check it at least once on a hard workout. Alzaki Ahmed says, hey, Kofuzi, I want to ask you what you think about the ASICS Hyperspeed. I didn't find a review for it in your channel. Thank you and keep up the good work. Yeah, I haven't run in it before. I know that everyone else that ran in it seemed to really enjoy it. I know Emily Heller really liked it. I think Jamie reviewed it and really liked it as well. I'm trying to think who else ran in it and really liked it. I remember seeing a couple of other really positive reviews. Because it's a lower price shoe, it doesn't have a carbon fiber plate in it, so like pretty straightforward, fast workout type of shoe. A lot of people are using it for shorter races, so I think that people have been enjoying it. But I also think that the foam is a little bit firmer, so I ran in the Magic Speed, which has kind of a partial plate, but I think has a similar type of foam, and I don't love. It's not my favorite shoe. It's a little bit firmer than I tend to like. But I could see why other people would like it, or if you're using it for a shorter distance, I think it could really work too. So, I mean, that's kind of what I think about the hyperspeed. I don't think that I'll probably have time to get to it, at least not for 2021. Maybe for 2022 we'll get to that, but I don't think that I'll get to it. But I think that it's not going to be a daily trainer. That's my take on it. Not having run in it, my kind of impression of it is that I don't think it's going to be your daily trainer, but it's something that I think a lot of people are going to do shorter road races, track workouts, and also like your harder road workouts that aren't long runs but are workouts. I think those would be some really great use cases for it. All right. Alan Shrimpton's back, says, "Good day, all. Good to see you again, Alan." And James Barrera says, "I'm running the Falmouth in the fall race in November. Same course as the Falmouth road race you did. Any tips on the course?" I would say, so like the way I looked at it, and I got to get advice from Bill Rogers, Boston Billy, which was a real treat on how to run the course. And he told us to take it easy in the hills, which is like the first half, and then you can open it up when you get to the flats. And I think that's really good advice. I mean, of course, he knows how to race that course. But for me, what I noticed, at least in the heat, was that when you got to the flats, you were open to the elements. And so I think on that point, you're running like on a peninsula, it seems. And so there's no trees, lots of wind, and lots of sun. And November in Cape Cod, I don't think the sun's not going to be much of an issue, but I think it might get really windy. So I would say, like roll with it on the hills. And if it's going to be a windy day, roll with it on the hills, and then find a pack to tuck in behind for some of those flats. And then I think like the last mile, once you start getting back into town, that's it's going to be a little bit more rolling again, and that's where I feel like you can really pick it up. But like that, like there's like a middle section or like the second half section of it where it gets really open to the elements, where I would kind of watch out for that a little bit. It can be a little bit demoralizing when you just see a long straight and like the winds or the sun is starting to get to you. So that's the only way I would tweak Boston Billy's advice. Yeah, Remy is saying he's just finished watching yesterday's conversation with Serious Runner. He says serious cyclist would be funny, but might go broke in the process. Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. I also think that like another way that Steven can go, because of his experience, he could be like a serious filmmaker, or a serious like YouTube camera person. Because I just feel like those camera YouTube is crazy. That's a crazy space. I don't think that. I think that with like not only with camera YouTube, video making YouTube, and also I think to an extent like cycling YouTube, I don't know how well received like a serious runner would be, because I don't think that there's as much of a sense of humor sometimes in some of those spaces. So like I don't know. I think it could work, but I don't know how much. The character could. There's lots of material, but I don't know how much it could work. Is the thing that I think. To overgeneralize and to paint with a very broad brush, generally. All right. Jeff Elliott says, "I got the booster and hand flu shot Monday night, and I'm so tired." Yo, it's Wednesday. See, I'm nervous. So my booster shot is tonight. So I already moved my workouts around, so my rest day would be tomorrow. But I have a feeling I'm not going to be very lively on Thursday. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, guys. I remember I had talked about we were going to have Dr. Josh on Thursday, and we're going to play a fun game. We're going to move that to next Monday, not because of my booster shot. There's some scheduling issues that we're going to work around. So Monday's going to be the next time we have a friend over on the live stream. And I think what I'm going to try to do, I'll see how long I can keep it up. I'll try to have a friend on every week. We might have to start repeating one because I only got so many friends, but I'm going to try to do a friend a week. So just to keep it lively, and so that way we have some other people to talk to, and other people that we can, introduce you guys to, and stuff like that. So that'll be next Monday. That's why we got it penciled in on the calendar. All right. Let's do a couple more. Eric Paramount says, "Hi everyone, good to make a live stream. Bummed that I missed the Ginger Runner Kofuzi mashup. Cheers." That was a lot of fun too. It was really good to talk to him. I had a lot of fun on that conversation. Yeah, and all I can say is I hope like they made like Kim and Ethan made me feel very welcome in this space, and I can only hope that I make other people feel just as welcome when they come over onto the live stream. I don't know, you guys were very welcoming to Steven yesterday. He was very interested in the chat. I think he really enjoyed that, and it was good to see that you guys were saying like lots of very encouraging and nice things to him. Not as like puffery, but you guys meant it sincerely. Because I know you guys are fans of him too. So that was always good to see. All right. Let's scroll down a little more. Alzaki Ahmed says, "Heiko, any special advice for running in humid weather?" I would say bring more fluids than you think that you need. And, don't be afraid to adjust your paces if you've got workouts that are set by pace. Don't be afraid to tweak those just a little bit to be a little bit kinder to yourself, or at least until you can get more accustomed to the humidity. So those would be the two things. Martha says, "You'll be fine, Mike, in terms of the booster shot. We both had side effects for 36 hours, achy, chills, muscle aches, maybe some vague lingering fatigue after that, but hard to pinpoint." Yeah, see, I'm switching, though. I went Janssen with the first one, and I'm going to go with, I think, I can never remember. I think I'm getting Pfizer tonight. So, like, I'm like, ooh. My wife said I'm getting whatever my wife had. And she said her first shot was more severe in terms of side effects than the second one. So I'm like, this is like my first Pfizer. But I'm wondering if, I don't know, like, if you've already had a different vaccine, is your body already primed so side effects won't be as great? Or since it's a different type of vaccine, mRNA versus not mRNA, I don't know. I'll let you guys know. I'm debating whether or not to make a video about it. I feel like I kind of just need to go full circle on it all. I'm still dealing with lots of like really grumpy comments. Grumpy is a nice way to put it. Comments from like the first vaccine video that I made. But I mean, I've been talking about wearing masks. I made videos about that. I made a video about getting a vaccine, racing and running, trying to be as safe as possible given what we knew at different times. I feel like I guess I got to make the booster shot video. So, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see the comments on that one. Kevin, though, says he got the booster and flu shot at the same time and felt 100%. Awesome. Arm was killed for 2 days, though, from the COVID booster. All right. Well, hopefully that'll happen to me as well. I got my flu shot last week, and that one, I didn't even notice anything. And Martha says, all right. She thinks that it should affect me like a second mRNA. So the booster was the same as dose 2. Okay. All right. So hopefully I'll be in good shape. All right. Jason Dahl says, it's still with the grumpy comments for the other vaccine video. The nation is doomed. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though. So I've been policing it a lot more. And, in the beginning, I was trying to like reason with people and talk to people until I realized that these are probably all bots or people who are just like spraying everywhere and are not like real people, but are, people trying to, push propaganda to say it one way. And so what I've started doing is just deleting instantly stuff that's negative, right? Or stuff that I don't think is like a real human being. Or someone that may be a real human being but is lying, right? So I've just been deleting it. And you know what? I'm not a newspaper, so I don't care. So ever since I did that, engagement so it seems to be going down, and like that also makes the views go down on it, which I'm fine with. I don't care. It has more views than I really want it to have. But also it has like severely like pushed down the amount of negative comments, because I think then, it's not getting pushed to as many people who are ready to jump on me about it. So I just, it doesn't have as much views, but the people that seem to be viewing it still seem to be like actual human beings. So I feel like it's a fair trade-off. I'm happy to take it. Yeah, Jeff Ellie says, the negative engagement still is engagement. Yeah, I don't want that, though. I'm okay without it. So, yeah. Stevie 76 said the bots might be non-elite bots. Oh, man. Yeah, so. So and Garrett says you can't win an argument with the other side in bad faith. No place wait to seeing yourself in doing so. Yeah, I mean that's a realization I came to because it was really getting taxing and trying, and I'm like, how do I respond to people in a reasonable way that's not negative and further devolving the conversation? And I was like, oh wait, whoever's making these comments is not interested in a conversation. What they are interested is in making it look like everyone here thinks that getting a vaccine is crazy, right? So I feel like that was the point. So I think that there was a decision either explicitly or subconsciously with people that are on that in that other camp that wherever they go, they got to make it look like everyone agrees with them. I think that's what's going on with all these like school board meetings and stuff, right? So someone with a minority position, for whatever reason, has to go and make it seem like whether through yelling or screaming, threatening people, whatever, leaving nasty comments, has to make it look like they're in the norm, when in fact they are exceedingly abnormal as well as irrational. So like I'm just like, all right, well here's what I can do. Just delete those. So it's been pretty fun. I actually and that makes me feel kind of good to do that. I don't know. Remy says, I left a comment on Vegan Cyclist video. There seemed to be a lack of representation that I called out, and I got roasted for even mentioning diversity. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard time for discourse overall, everywhere. I don't know. I used to think that there were solutions to it. I used to think that, we would eventually heal ourselves, but I don't know. It's a tough time. It's a tough time. Yeah, Shannon says you could just choose to not read or respond to any comments for that video. That was an approach for it too after a while. But then I realized the only people that were then commenting were people that had that agenda. People aren't watching it to watch it and learn or to understand or to empathize or to discover. People were watching it to subvert it, to insert their own agenda. And then once the comments were flooded and all like the first 100 top comments were about like how crazy it is or against the will of God it was or all this other stuff, then I was like, all right, anyone watching this is now going to think that most people in the world think that I'm crazy, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to let that happen. So like, I'm just going to like put a little bit of a tamp down on that and just put that down. And so like, in order to, make it easy for my mental health rather than to respond to all of it, just delete. Then those people won't come back because like those people, I feel like another strategy, I think me trying to understand the person leaving these comments, and I don't think it's all bots. I think some of it is, but I don't think it's all bots. But I think that part of it is like someone, I don't know. I don't know what exactly drives it, but I think what the behavior is, spray everywhere. And then go check to see where there's response. So kind of like leaving out like 15 lines with bait on it. And you focus on the line that tugs, right? And so if I just don't tug, then they don't come back and they move on. And that's kind of been my approach. Yeah, sorry to get deep into that, but I don't know. Let's change the subject. Thank you. Eliza says, looking at the forecast for New York, it is early, but so far the projection is 56 and cloudy. Love it. That's awesome. I hope for great weather. I got to figure out things like times, like what time does the race start and stuff. And I also got to figure out where I want to be. It's a point-to-point race, so it's like, how do I get as many viewpoints as I can while also not missing important parts of the race? Because it's not like I can't be at the start. And if I try to get them right after the Verrazano Bridge at like mile like 2 or 3 or whatever, the race goes north for a long time. Even if I race as fast as I can while holding all my camera gear, like I'm going to miss people a lot of the rest of the race if I try to get them early. So like, I don't know. I'm going to try to figure it out. Some best places where I can try to get like 3 to 4 vantage points. I know it'll be a long running day, but hey, I could use the miles, so I'm not too worried about that. So we'll have to see where I end up going for it. My parents were like, my dad was like, well, maybe I'll go and watch it with you. Where do you want to go watch it from? I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I'm gonna run around a lot. I don't know. Is that a bad move? Should I just watch the New York Marathon with my dad? I probably should. Now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, oh, I should just pick one spot and park there with my dad and watch the race. Maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. I got to rethink this. All right. Go Kiwi says, yeah, did a new marathon PB Kofuzi, 3 hours 17 in a virtual marathon. Awesome. Good work, Kiwi. Nice. And doing it virtual. I don't know. I mean, as much as like I'm not a huge fan of virtual stuff, I love it when other people do it. And when other people do virtual marathons, I'm like, that's just such a grind to do by yourself without like, not only like, I mean, just by yourself is one thing. And, I end up running by myself a lot. And sorry, that's the dog. I don't know if you can hear that. I end up running a lot of the marathon by myself too. And that's one thing. But like to do it like when people aren't cheering for you and like you might have to worry about stoplights and stuff and you're bringing in all your own nutrition and hydration, that's real impressive. Great job. Ray says, Cody, you have the Atreyu base too, or we'll get it, review it. I thought I made a video about it. I have it. I've been wearing it. I think that the new updates are great. I like it a lot more. It's still a very low to the ground shoe, but it's just got like a different level of springiness to it that I really enjoy. So it's not something I wear every day because it is lower to the ground, but on a shorter day, that's something that I would like to have it on. Yeah, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be in Austin for it, but for the TRE, and that's where Atreyu is. But I'm thinking, like, because of that, I'm probably going to bring the Atreyu as one of my main shoes that I'll be bringing, like, that week of travel for me. Because it's really great casually. I love wearing it casually. But I think maybe running around Lady Bird Lake, that might be the shoe that I wear. All right. Yeah, CJ the runner says, talking about virtual marathons, you're a real one if you do a virtual full marathon. He says it couldn't be him, though. I mean, yeah, that's no joke. That's no joke. Stevie Sanders says, Kofuzi's going to chase down Seth at New York City. I mean, I was thinking about it. I think that I could probably try and catch some footage of him. I think it'll depend on, I'll try to probably catch some of the lead pack at some point. Try to focus. I think for this one, I may focus more on the women than the men, just because of the runners that are going to be there and who I'm interested in seeing. And then depending on kind of the pacing and where he ends up at, I think one of my strategies is going to be like, it's the New York Marathon. I don't anticipate that there are lots of quiet stretches, but maybe some of the stretches like in the first handful of miles before it gets into Manhattan, maybe that could be a spot. I got to really talk to someone who knows the course a little bit better to find a spot where maybe I can get some of Seth and just try to run along, not on the course, but, run along like down the street. I don't know how. I think I could probably keep up with them for like 100 meters. That's about it. But, I think try to get some footage of them. I think that'd be fun. Sarah McKinney wants to know if I watch soccer. So do you have a team or teams you follow? I don't really watch soccer. I like the Portland Timbers, though, only because it's like, I think, the one team that I've seen play live. I watched them before they were part of MLS. The last time I was in I think that was the last time I was in Portland. It was a long time ago. So I have an affinity for that team. One of my good friends, he used to work for the organization. And that's how I got tickets to the game. I met, there's a baseball team that I don't know if they still play in the same spot, but there's a baseball team that has, I think the Beaver is their mascot. I got to meet the Beaver. I don't think I've seen the Chicago Fire play, like the Chicago MLS team. And I want to say that I've seen an MLS team play before, like the New York one. Like the first year, like the MLS became like a thing, maybe. But it's been a long time. I love to watch it, but I don't follow it like on TV. I don't follow any sports on TV anymore. I mean, I watch running races. That's about it. All right. Let's do a couple more. Tracy Smith says, I'm so interested to see how Shalane does. Yeah, I know. Hold on. It's her last one. The 6th in 7 weeks for the marathons. I mean, that's going to be a pretty impressive victory lap. I mean, that's one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's probably too late to try and figure out if I can get. I got an email a little while ago about like being able to buy tickets for the grandstands. And I was like, what would I want that for? And I was like, oh wait. But then I'm like, am I going to be able to run around the course for the beginning parts of the race and then get into the grandstands at the end for some finish line photos? I don't think that's going to be able to happen. I just think with security, it's going to be too hard. I was able to do that for the Olympic trials because Polar hooked me up they had access to like a VIP tent that was right at the finish line. So it was like the Atlanta Track Club had access to that area. Polar and a couple other sponsors had access to the area, and they gave me like a VIP pass. So I was able to get there at the end while also running around all day. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that. So some finish line photos would be great, though, wouldn't it? Yeah. Running Will says, there's a long stretch on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint, before they go over the Long Island, the LIC, and up 5th Ave in the city final stretch. All right. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Okay. Because that might be a good spot. But I also feel like, I don't know. That's not going to be like filled with like spectators. I feel like that might be a spot that's really filled with spectators. But I also feel like a lot of people that are traveling and like supporting family, like coming in, probably aren't going to leave Manhattan. That'd be my guess. I could be wrong, but my hunch would be that. So like I'm thinking like, getting somewhere in Brooklyn, getting it right after the Verrazano Bridge, like right away. That could be some spots where people aren't going to go. That's not going to be that convenient for a lot of people. And then like run over the Brooklyn Bridge to try and catch the race later. Maybe I gotta go. Yeah, I don't even know. I have to look at the map a little bit more. And you guys know how good I am at maps, so we'll see. Yeah. Shannon says, between texting with Martha and Kofuzi's live stream, productivity's hit an all-time low today. My kids love the reel of the wave crashing on you. That was scary, though. People are like, oh, great footage. And I'm like, I don't know if I should be so proud of this because that was pretty dumb to be out there on that day. It was crazy waves. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But like once that wave like hit me, I was like, oh, that's the kind of wave that could knock you over. Like not like knock you out, but knock me over. And then, there's concrete walls and stuff. If I hit my head, it could be dangerous. But it did look great. It looked really great, and it was fun. It was fun to film. So I will say that. But yeah. CV76 says, I think I ran past Rat Roadkill in Brooklyn. You probably did. Yesterday we saw a dead bat on the way to school. The kids were pretty excited about that. Runner Will says, it's full all the way for the New York Marathon, but you can get in there and run with. Okay. All right. That's a spot that I'm going to target then. All right. Where was that? I'll have to go look back in the chat for it. All right. 4th Avenue in Brooklyn and Greenpoint before they go over LIC and up 5th Ave in the city final stretch. All right. All right. I'm going to try those spots. All right, Sam Douglas says, submitted my good for age entry for Chicago 22, coming from London, and inspired to do it as my first major by all your content. Well, awesome, Sam. Well, hopefully you're going to get it. I mean, if you got I think they're guaranteed entries. So I can't wait to meet you and see you for Chicago 2022. Awesome. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Today's video will be going up. Hopefully the render worked all right, and we'll get it uploaded soon. And then we'll have another video tomorrow morning as well, hopefully, if I can get that done. I think I'll be able to get that one done. I got to do some laundry. It's for clothes. So I got to do some laundry. If I get that laundry done, then we'll get that video out tomorrow. And then I'll see you guys again. It'll be just me for tomorrow's Happy Hour Thursday. Bring your favorite recovery beverage, and we'll chat again tomorrow. Until then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.